secretary. So I'd like to thank all of you. And our presenters are going to be Maureen Mwaniki and Agnes Limo, who are both ladies who have been in the leadership in different leadership roles, and they're going to share their experiences with us today. So before we start, maybe we can have a word from Kithinji and Nation. Kithinji, can you hear me?
Yes, I was waiting for Nation to go first, and then I can.
Okay. Yeah, Nation, maybe you can, because
Nation,
you
are
actually
you fine?
introduced.
Yeah, that's okay. So I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to appreciate our speakers, Maureen and Agnes. I know they've had a very tight week, given that there has been a lot of activities this week, and also to take the time just to be part of this discussion. And I also want to appreciate everyone who has joined today. We had a AGM meeting in the morning, so we were a bit worried that people will, being on Zoom call the whole day, it's kind of challenge. But I'm happy we've had the opportunity to also join. And I must mention this: we encourage both ladies and gentlemen to be part of this meeting, and it's very interesting to see good representation from both. So Maureen, karibu, Agnes, karibu, and I'm happy to see you. Yeah. Kithinji?
Happy to see you too.
Unmute. Thanks, Nation. Kithinji? Okay.
I hope you can
Hello?
hear me.
Yes, we can.
Chaltu, can you hear me? Oh, perfect.
Yes, we can hear you, Kithinji.
Mine is to thank Nation. I'm saying mine is to thank Nation for taking lead into organizing this and being able to against speakers today, and also Chaltu for taking the lead into at least making sure everything is in order, despite the challenge of communication here and there. And thank you also to the members who have joined today, because I understand the same way Nation is saying, it's really kind of an hectic having meetings the whole day. But I think this is a session that is worth it. And as the chairman, I think we are really happy and honored to have the two ladies to share with us. Thank you very much, and let's keep the ball rolling. Back to you, Child.
Okay, thank you so much, Nation, and I'm saying Nation, actually, Nation and Kithinji. So I'd like to do maybe just a brief introduction of our speakers today. Maureen Mwaniki, there's Wanjiku. Wow. So Maureen Mwaniki, really lovely to meet you. She holds a degree in electrical and electronics engineer from the University of Nairobi. Engineering has been her passion, which has led her now into an ICT company. She's working with Huawei, and she's the founder, if I'm not wrong, of the Huawei Women in Technology initiative, which is really doing good in terms of motivating young women to join the STEM industry. And she'll do a bit more of introduction for herself, but maybe the other thing to note about her is that she's committed in improving the number of young engineers and leaders in the country through her mentorship and training programs, which is why I believe she's here even today, and we are really happy to have you here. So Maureen, you can start off.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity just to be part and parcel of this great, forum. On a Saturday, most of the times I try to catch up on a few things, especially with family, because more or less you have a pretty rough week. But at the end of the day, it's never, for me, I pick it as an opportunity, something that you can enjoy doing, because I love doing mentorship. I love giving back to to the society in terms of what particular skills I've been able to gain through my journey of succession, and I've been able to grow in terms of probably career-wise. And I think I can't take that for granted because of just all the opportunities that I've been able to get. I mean, I was just earlier on saying that last night into morning, I've been on the road from pretty much 6. I've been on the road from around 4 a.m. yesterday into 5 a.m. this morning. So this was because we had to go to Gabatula to speak and enhance digital skills to even the girl child who is as far as a place like Gabatula to get opportunities, the same opportunities that we have back here in Nairobi. So, I mean, I believe it's something that if you enjoy doing something in terms of whether you're a leader or not, you'll always find that even though you're giving out your time, you're giving out all this, it still goes, you feel some level of pride when you come back and you're able to see the comfort that you're in is not, you can't take that for granted. So yes, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see Nation. I'm happy to see Agnes, and a great team of other members who have logged in to just listen to us, to just understand and appreciate the journey that we've had. And I hope whatever we'll be able to share might inspire one or two ladies and gents in their journey or their career, irrespective of wherever they are. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was a lovely introduction. So we're really happy to have you here, Agnes. And as you said, sorry, not Agnes, Maureen, for you have just been on a really long journey, but the fact that you're still committed, still here to share your experience is something that is very commendable. So thank you so much for that. So I'll go to Agnes. Agnes Limo is also our speaker for today. She was previously working with Safaricom. She's currently doing private practice in technology sector. So women, you're being shown you can go ahead and go into also doing business. She's also top 40 under 40 woman in Kenya, and she's the chair for gender sector working group, social, economic, and financial inclusion in the task force. Yes, under the Ministry of Gender. So she's also like Maureen, who has been the pioneer and running the initiative for the Huawei Mini Women in Technology. So for Agnes, it's been in Safaricom Women in Technology. So as you can see, both are women who are really strong at empowering other women and running initiatives that they're looking to help other young women in the industry. So she's currently pursuing masters in public policy, and on her spare time she's a professional baker. Wow, that's good to know. Some of us cooking ili tukata. Anyway, thank you and welcome, Agnes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think these are the challenges that come with working from home. My daughter was just talking to me, and then I'm like, I'm supposed to speak next, but I guess that is the natural way of life nowadays. So thank you so much for inviting me to this forum. I am honored to be here, and I look forward actually to interacting with everybody. Thank you, Nation. Thank you, Chatu, for reaching out and letting us participate in this forum. I think as Maureen has mentioned, it's been quite a long month of just celebrating International Women's Day. And for me, actually, women growth, I tend to nowadays talk about women growth instead of women empowerment, because I think sometimes it has some connotations in terms of it looks as if you're favored and all. So passionate about women growth, just to see how can we make that next step to actually influence the country positively. So I'm glad I took on a path that is trying to see how I can influence at a national level. And the reason even why I took my master's actually in public policy management, to just try and see how I can actually influence policy at that perspective. One of the other things that I actually do as part of working with the gender sector working group under the Ministry of Gender is I am a committee member of it's called the Africa Women Leadership Network, all in. Actually, you can check it up. It gives us a voice basically as Africans, women leadership in Africa, to speak at it's a UN forum just a lot level. Just trying to see how we can actually do in a structure and make sure that penalty is needed.
Agnes, we are losing you.
Recently have a program under the financial in this age and time. You're losing me.
Yeah. Maybe you can try switching off the camera. We'll see if that will help.
Okay. Can you hear me now, Chaltu?
Yes, better.
You can, eh? So I was
Yes.
talking about an initiative that we were launching recently as part of celebration of the International Women's Day. It's called the 50 Million Women Speak. So this is an app. It's an app that aims to connect women in Africa. So 50 million of them. So either professional, doing business, and just trying to make your space here in Africa, in the globe. So that is what we've been busy trying to do from this side of just the Ministry of Gender as well, just try and ensure that we are able to push that agenda forward. Thank you so much. I look forward to sharing more. Back to you, Chad.
Thank you so much, Agnes. That's very informative, and we'll make sure to look at the different programs also. I believe, like you said, women growth and empowerment from all those levels is very critical. And something else Nashon mentioned when we were starting off, there's someone, when we were posting about this event in our group, someone asked, can men also join the session? So I think that's the other thing we really need to make sure we put across to our young men, that in order for this to actually work, we need that collective, collective effort from both the male and the female side. So even our young men, I believe, should be encouraged to join such sessions so that they understand when we are talking about women empowerment, as you said, it doesn't look like the girl child is actually being favored, but rather we're just trying to create a platform that will give all of us an equal opportunity, considering the fact that even up to now, when you're looking at leadership roles, which is going to be one of my questions today, is you find the number of our male counterparts in different leadership roles, or even when it comes to pay, that ladies are not paid as well as, and you're doing the same, you're probably even playing the same role, but you find women being paid less, or you find even getting that position is something that is difficult, which is what we're trying to address, not per se trying to favor the girl child over the boy child, ndio unasikia saizi na boy child, instead just making sure that we include them in this kind of discussions and forums, I think will go a long way to make sure that we have them also understand what we are trying to do. And if we have that support, then we can always go further with this kind of initiatives. So thank you so much, Agnes and Maureen, for your introductions. So for today's session, we're going to go through a couple of questions just for both of you to help us understand maybe your different journeys. I'm sorry, the thing I didn't mention about Maureen, she's actually one of the directors at Huawei. So we are talking to ladies who've actually gone through the whole process and are actually in leadership positions or have been in leadership positions that is not very common for women still in our generation. So we want to learn a thing or two from all of them and see how maybe for those ladies who are here, how you can be able to get to that, or even for the young men who are here, how you can be able to support your sisters to have an equal opportunity when it comes to leadership. So our first question for today is going to be for both of you. You've had an impressive career path. So reaching those executive levels, that is not common for women as it is for men. So what has enabled you to actually reach this high level of leadership in your different careers? Maureen?
Sorry, just I'm just trying to ask my son to leave me briefly. Just give me a second.
That's okay. Okay, then we can go ahead with Agnes.
I think Maureen, you can just present with him. It's fine. It's over the weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He's gone away.
Haina shida, it can be part of the
no problem.
Okay.
conversation.
Well, thank you. Because I figured he would not be able to allow me to speak. So yeah, so probably Chantu, could you repeat the question kindly so that I don't go off topic?
Yeah, so the question is, but don't feel, we had this, Agnes asked the same thing. So don't feel confined to the question. Only if you feel like you need to digress a little bit just to drive a point home or to enable us to learn something more, then feel free to do so. It's just supposed to be a guiding point, yeah? So we are asking, you've had an impressive career path. So you've reached this executive level, you're at a director position. So as a woman, this might not be as common as it is for men. Most companies you go, you'll find it's mostly men in the leadership positions. So what has enabled you to reach this high level? What would you say was what the key points to reaching this particular position?
Okay, so for me, thanks for that question. For me, I believe in being consistent. You need to be consistent in what you do. It doesn't matter whatever it is you do, whether you're a leader, whether you're still the people who are working down there, it doesn't matter wherever you are. You have to be consistent. And coming into consistency, it means you need to be prepared. So for me, I believe that the level of preparation in which you have to go through in every journey that you are in, you have to prepare and be and consistent with whatever you are in your journey. So what I've gotten to learn in my path of by the time I got into leadership is the fact that you first have to believe in yourself. You have to be able to believe that this is not the step that you are looking at. This is where I want to go to. So if my target is to make sure that I want to be a leader in something, it doesn't matter even being a leader in the small institution or a large institution that you're in. You must be able to focus on the end goal. And that's one of the things from way back, from when I was young. I think by the time I got into managerial position was, I think I was about 3 years into my job. And more or less, it's one of the main things that they picked out is the fact that I was always prepared and always consistent with the things that I was doing. And another thing is also the fact that I was very confident. So the part that I've realized a lot and I've picked out in most of the situations that we're in leadership is the fact that women are not bold enough to come out strong, especially in the space where it's been male dominated. It means that they're very comfortable in the area. Let's say like if you have the men and the women speak in a room, most of the times you'll find that that the lady will be, at the back bencher. And she's very good at doing presentations. She's very good at doing, the small work. But who comes in to do the presentation? It's the guy who does the presentation. And one of the things that I've realized and I've picked out is that we have allowed ourselves as women to sit back and allow our male counterparts to take up the position. But one of the things is that also, as much as they will be confident to stand in there, also believe in yourself to stand in that same space. I mean, there's nothing that you fall short of by just wanting to be in that position. One person I know, a very good friend of mine, once mentioned in a presentation, and she said, when you walk into a meeting, most of the times the women believe, you know, there's some tea maybe that is there, and you find that most of the women take up the responsibility of starting to pour out tea for people and all that. You've come into a meeting to do your job. You've not come in to be the tea girl. I mean, there are certain people who can also do that. And it just means that you already have a focused area in what you need to do, and don't downplay the level in which, yes, in as much as you're a woman, you've come in to work. You've not come in to try and improve a section in terms of being in that leadership. Another thing is also what I've been able to also pick out is the fact that we don't also empower each other. You'll find that mostly the men at the top or our fellow counterparts are the ones who end up encouraging you more to be within that space more than the women who are around that space. So women are struggling so much to find people who can be able to connect to them in terms of what they're facing as a family. You know, as women, we do like double the job. As women, we do multiple things, but at the end of the day, how do we reach that point and appreciate the level of being within that space? And so you find that we don't tend to pull each other up, and we don't tend to support each other to that point where we can be able to say, I've pulled my fellow counterpart lady to be in this place. And that's why we keep saying that it is very important for women to network more. You need to network so much so that you can be able to know your network. You must be able to believe and meet women who are around that place, and you take accountability to pull up a lady who is struggling to be in that space. For me, myself, I did not have that person who was able to pull me up. Interestingly, it was the men who were in leadership who were able to support me to pull up, and they were able to be quite harsh on us and harsh on me. And I say that it doesn't matter, irrespective of whatever it is, I'll have to pull a fellow lady to come up with me, because it is a point of servant. You want to be able to feel that space of wanting to see someone. You don't want that person to also go through so many struggles like you did, because you have to always find the right path. And no one tells you this is the right path or this is the wrong path. It's up to you to figure out that journey. So that's another thing that I believe that by the time you reach that point of being in leadership, for me, that was one of the take homes that I was able to be able to pick up. And of course, last but not least, is that life should not be a struggle. Like, by the time you're reaching certain levels, if you're called up to be a leader, don't start giving extra excuses of why you should not be in that position. Have you ever realized that by the time someone is told, most ladies and men, when you put them in that position and you tell them, okay, I've promoted you to be, let me just use an ideal case, a director, and you put a man and a woman, the woman will always find reason as to why she should not be a director. Why is she possible? Can she make it? Can she do what? The guy goes out and he's like, I'm done. This is the thing for me, you know, and we don't believe in ourselves. Why are you questioning? The fact that you've already reached that point, it means that the company believes so much in you, or you believed so much in yourself to be in that position. So don't start second guessing yourself to the point of doubting why you should be there. So that is another thing that we need to realize, that we have so much power. It's just that we always have to find excuses, and women can have multiple excuses not to be in that place. And for me, I believe that you should not have an excuse. You should always take that as as an advantage, as a stepping stone to move to the next level. And for me, I picked all those stepping stones in terms of not questioning myself whether I can do it, but seeing how I can do better in that space. Thanks.
Chalto,
Yes.
before you move maybe to Agnes, personally, I've worked with Maureen for quite some time, and she's my boss. Like, I reported to her directly, and she has mentioned something in regards to consistency. You have to be very consistent, and I just feel like I should prick her more to say something based on her experience, because when Maureen left campus and joined the work arena or Huawei, she didn't join as a manager or as a senior person. Yeah, she joined as a very junior engineer.
Yeah.
So I will want her just for sticking to consistency, maybe to mention something on that. Holy Maureen.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. Yes, I worked with Dashon for a couple of years, and it was interesting. Yeah, being his boss, and I mean, it was an honor. But yes, by the time I left campus and I joined into the workforce area, and it was more of I didn't reach. Actually, I believe there was nothing about being a female engineer and a male engineer by the time I ended up wherever I was. And it was about, the main thing is about the output. What output are you going to bring so that we are able to see that we move forward? And I remember so many a times we would be able to find ourselves in terms of you've all been put in, you've all been assigned tasks, and somehow everyone would be able to say that probably, I mean, funny jokes that probably Maureen will not be able to finish, or probably the ladies will not be able to finish in time because we've been able because I mean, you're a female engineer, you should be at the comfort of a desk doing the reports. But one thing I believed, that there's nothing that's impossible for so long as you set your mind to it. For me, I did not come into the work area, or for me, I did not believe that you should be able to sit back and not be able to do the same tasks. You have been given God-given tasks. You've been given hands, you've been given everything. You have a mind, you have everything, all the resources that you need to be able to undertake. So why not do it just the same way as someone else can be able to do it? And I believe that in everything that I ended up doing, I would prepare as much as possible. I would try to do late nights. I would try to make sure that whatever it is I'm preparing, so that even though I am challenged based on a certain output, I understand what I am explaining, and I'm consistent in the main thing that I want to give out. So that level of consistency, that every time that would be given a task and the output was more or less based on the actual area that I have practiced in, made me be able to stand out in terms of, I was able to even do things better because of how much I would prepare, and that every time that whatever I would do, they know that yes, Maureen would make sure that that output is clear. The goal, you already just give her that goal and she'll know how she'll figure it out. And that was one of the things that I believe in terms of most likely led me to the point where everyone wanted to allow me to participate in their projects. Why? Because the moment I was given something, I would make sure that I do it to the level best. For me, I believed that you do it as to the best of your ability. And yeah, so I think through that, subconsciously, I remained consistent in knowing what exactly I wanted. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. That's very what is this called? Informative, and like you've said, the keyword here has been consistency. I believe we will take that home. So for Agnes, I have a question. So are there certain skills that have helped you see what your next step is, and make yourself known to as someone who can perform the next level job?
Thank you, Chaltu, for that question. I have switched on my video, but do alert me if I go off. I've changed my Wi-Fi. I hope it will behave.
Okay.
So basically, for your question, what skills have prepared me for the next level? I think I'll start back at, like, you must trust the process first. And believe in yourself, like Maureen has said, and know your craft. As in, whatever skill that you're required for that particular job that you're holding during that moment, you must know it to the best of your ability. There will be no shortcut. So first start with knowing your craft, and then trust the process. You'll start moving from one level to the other. It becomes like a building block as you progress. So do not ignore the position maybe that you're in. It may look small for now, but when you look back sometime in the future, you will actually be able to join the dots and see how everything actually was fitting in. I normally mention the fact that immediately after university, when now you're looking for a job, I applied to Safaricom, and the engineering job I'd applied for, I wasn't successful. They actually called me and asked me, would you be interested in joining our customer care? And definitely I said yes, because I knew immediately I'm in Safaricom, I'll work out my way. And at some point I was feeling, okay, am I wasted? Am I wasting my time? I'm an engineer. Why am I doing customer care? But then I still stuck at it until now I moved to the next level. I think later on in life, I appreciated why I actually started at the customer care. The last job I actually did in Safaricom was being the head of home solutions, and it requires a lot of customer care skills. And I looked back and I was like, this actually prepared me for that job. So I think appreciate every level that you're in, do your best at it, and then be prepared also. As it is normally said, opportunity can only meet preparedness. You can be given an opportunity, but if you are not prepared, then it will just pass by you. So always, I think, be prepared. There's some three things that I think I use them as a guide also. I call them my 3Ds. You need to also have a desire to do whatever you want to do. So that hunger, you really must want to be somewhere. You really must want your goal to be so clear so that you're able to achieve. So that desire has to always be there. And then the next D will be determination. So what are the efforts actually that you're putting into getting that desire? So the hard works, the learnings, the trainings that you have to go through, and then the one that actually ties all of it is discipline. So basically that's the glue that ties all your desires and your determination, your hard work, your commitment. And if you lack that, the parts will just be disjointed. So you need to just have that discipline. Like Marina said, discipline can be in the consistency. You just keep doing what you need to do all the time without looking back. Even if you fail, you stand up and pick up yourself and just keep going. So that discipline to always just keep moving. I think what I'm noticing also with maybe our young people is not trusting the process. If you want to jump and like reach whatever heights at the shortest time possible, it may work for a few people, but it may not be the entire path for everyone. So I think I would urge every young person, be patient, work hard, as in give it your all. I normally look back and I'm like, whatever energy I did not use maybe when I was starting off, which is like 15 years ago, and I didn't give my all. There's no way I can go back to that energy right now and now say, I need you. You know, that time is gone, it has passed, and you will never retrieve it again. So at that moment, I think just give it your all. you will not be able to just go back again and get it. And I think one of the other things is just appreciate your seasons also. So when you are working towards getting to the next level, you need to also know where you are at every particular time. If you're at entry level, like I've said, know your craft. Be the techie that you need to be. Immediately you move to middle management, senior management, then the game actually changes and you need to now develop the right skills for that season that you're in. And if you're in that level or you're preparing to be in that level, it's time to take up proper trainings. It is time to take up coaching. So that is something that has really helped me. A coach will guide you, will help you discover yourself, discover your purpose. You need to have mentors also. A mentor will be somebody who is like your tour guide, somebody who's been there and they are just helping you not go through maybe the hardships that they went through. So identify a mentor that is able to guide you so that you don't need to recreate the wheel again. So they're able to really guide you into the next level. So I would end with that. Know your season, apply the right strategy to it. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. I see you're both resonating on the same. So take us home, be consistent, know your craft, appreciate the process, and have that desire to learn determination, and of course the discipline, putting it all together. Maybe I'll just mention something based on what both of you have mentioned. You have both emphasized the aspect of being consistent and knowing your craft and actually having the discipline that goes along, and otherwise all of this will fall apart. So I was reading somewhere a general saying, a US general saying how they usually recruit their members. So instead of just taking the persons who perform the best, who run the fastest, the person who is doing everything how they want it to do, but he said the other thing they look at when you talk about consistency, how I relate, how I translate it for myself is you are a reliable person. The way Maureen was saying, in that if you're ever asked to do something, then people know. If we tell Maureen to do this, if we tell Agnes to do this, if we tell Nation to do this, then of course, they're going to deliver. They're going to give us the results that we are looking for. They're disciplined enough to work through what is needed and actually come up with results. So what does that mean? You become a reliable person. And what this general was saying is that they will not take the fastest person or like the one who has all they need. They will take that person they know will be reliable, because that's something that is critical. You need to be able to be a person whom people can look at. You're able to deliver what is needed to be delivered because you have the discipline to go through with it. Because you can be the fastest person, but at that time and point when you're needed and you're not able to deliver, then that means things are going to fall apart. Like Agnes said, discipline is what holds it together. So if you do not have the discipline to go through with what is needed, then the work is going to fall apart. You're not going to be reliable. You're not going to be this consistent person that is needed. So that is very critical. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing on that. And I believe we've all learned in terms of what's needed to be consistent people. So Maureen, this will go to you. What is your perspective on why there is low number of women in high-level positions?
So I think I believe the reason why we still have low numbers, though they're coming up. I'm quite impressed that there's been an increase in women in leadership. I mean, right now we have the YTO first director. I mean, she was appointed. So I mean, I believe it's also the fact that now we are making ourselves known. Previously, the reason why the numbers were quite low, I think because we still did not believe in ourselves. I think we still had reasons as to why we cannot take up certain roles. I was in a forum last week, and someone was talking about the reason why she ended up appointing some people to be ambassadors. And she said that everyone ended up giving a reason as to why they cannot be in that level of position. So you end up working so hard, you end up trusting the process, as Agnes has said, and you find yourself there, and now you're told you need to be an ambassador, you need to be the president, you need to be a director. And what's the next thing? You say, I don't think my family, my husband, my kids, I don't think I'll do this. I don't think it's okay for me. I don't think I can work late night. And you always have a reason as to why you cannot do that. And that's why I say boils down to the other gender. Give the same person the same opportunity, and the guy will not even think twice to do it. And they more or less will not even question. It's about themselves. How will they grow themselves? And it's funny that we need to learn a lot. And one thing is that we should never, ever, ever downplay the process. So I believe that probably it's because we were also very, were not confident to come out there to speak out. And another thing also is the fact that I think most companies still couldn't believe in women taking up such dockets to run the companies, probably to be able to run a whole company, probably to run a whole country. So most people still could not entrust, especially considering the people who are making the decision on those tables are men. So you find that by the time they end up realizing, okay, I think it can be okay if this one comes, you find that still there's a challenge because they still cannot be able to find that comfort for them to make that decision that, yes, this person is suitable to be in that position. And so there's a lot of points where, again, back to self-sacrificing, you have to, I think a lot of people still don't want to do a lot of self-sacrifice. You don't want to take time and trust in the process. You don't want to be consistent because, again, another thing is the fact that when we are not also very consistent and when people don't believe in whatever it is that we say, the content that we have besides preparing, is people cannot be able to entrust you with quite a huge docket of responsibilities. So that being one side, and there's also the other side where we had to come out. We have to be that level of confident and be able to appreciate. And I mean, the level of the path to success is very narrow, and very few take that path. And I think that's why the very few who take that path are the very few who face a lot of opposition at the top, but to some extent still believe in themselves and end up finding themselves seated in those dockets, like, again, the WTO general. So I believe that with time, and again, just as we keep talking about trusting the process individually and also within the system, I believe we'll get there one time where we shall have that recognition where women are actually growing and women are able to support each other, and also the men not going unnoticed are able to also realize that, yes, these people are taking up this chance and want to, and the numbers will keep growing and they'll keep growing, and we have to keep pulling each other up. We don't reach there and forget where you've come from. You have to remember that journey, that in as much as you walked up that ladder, there was always someone slightly above you who was still holding your hand to even support you to get to slightly, just give you a short leap into the next level. In as much as you did all the trusting the process and believing in yourself and all that, there's still that also person who was able to still also believe in you and able to give you that opportunity to the next step. So as you move on to the next step, remember to also pull other people so that the numbers stop being so low and we are able to grow those numbers to a substantial number where we can be able to say, yeah, I think we're really growing. Yes.
Wow, thank you so much, Maureen. So yes, I believe, yes, women need to believe in themselves more. Like you said, when a man is given an opportunity like this, they will take it up and run with it. Even if he doesn't know how to do one thing or two, he'll definitely learn on the way. And that is something as women we need to learn to take risks and the self-sacrifice as well. So really happy to have a woman leader, the Tanzanian president. So we are seeing, like you've said, this is actually changing, and at least being able to see different women come into leadership and actually take these positions, I think is a really good learning point for all women across the board. So for Agnes, if you can hear me, on the same question, maybe from a different perspective, is that do you think companies companies that are failing or are refusing to take up women in their different leadership roles? So let's say, for example, a company just has a board of directors that is all just men. Do you think there's a disadvantage to this, and what disadvantages would this be, and what would be your advice in terms of bridging this gap?
Thank you, Charlton, for that question. Okay, I'll go straight to like looking at how God created, I think, man and women, and just looking at the way even the population is currently. I think in most, when you Google it, still shows like we are like 50-50, yeah, world over. So, you know, it's balanced even from a natural angle, eh? So I believe, who are we as women, as human beings, therefore, to go against what God has created? You know, who are we to redefine how distribution of maybe opportunities should be? So I think just looking at it from that spiritual perspective first, it's definitely wrong to even just exclude some people from participating in a certain aspect. And I think coming in now to, let's say, leadership perspective, um, a company that doesn't include all genders equally, I think is short-lived. Maybe the successes may be realized for the time being, but may not be actually sustainable. So when we talk about sustainable development for such a company, I don't think they will be able to actually realize it to the end. So it may lie to them for the time being that they are successful. Why I say that is, you will find most organizations, most companies, you are serving the consumers, you are serving a customer, and these customers are both genders, because unless you maybe are only focusing on male products or female products, most companies in general will be targeting these mixed gender consumers. And therefore, when you do not have a particular gender, maybe in your decision making hierarchy, then you will miss out actually what these your consumers, your customers will want. You will miss that perspective from, let's say, the ladies, the females that are not actually sitting at your table when these decisions are being made. And that's why I'm saying you will lose out in the long run. You may use maybe your instincts for now to just keep driving the business, but in the long run, it will not actually work. I think if you see like most companies, actually studies, even if you Google right now, most studies are showing a balanced organization. It's directly actually correlated with how balanced they are at the boardroom, how balanced they are in terms of leadership. And just coming even home to engineering and the technical field, I think we're still even a bit far from reaching that that balance. And therefore, lots of efforts, lots of intentional output actually needs to be put to be able to ensure that it is more balanced. Like when I was in Safaricom, I can say I was the only one who was actually at the leadership, at the senior leadership table, and it was lonely. And you know, like you actually feel you alone, and sometimes you feel your voice may not actually be heard, even because there's no one maybe to back you from your angle. So a lot of effort still needs to be done. We're not yet there to actually have that balance. And I think I appreciate what the late Bob Collymore used to do, like try to make sure everybody understands that sometimes we have biasness without even knowing. You don't even intend to have that bias. But when you become aware that the way maybe you were brought up, your background, just drives you to being biased in the way maybe you decide, the way you recruit, then you become more intentional in ensuring that you're able to balance. So in conclusion, therefore, a company will not achieve sustainable development when they do not have a balanced gender in their highest leadership and boardroom. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Agnes. That was very insightful. And just as you mentioned, in terms of different publications that actually show the results when it comes to companies that have women in their boards. So I've just Googled something and seen here that Harvard Business Review and Catalyst both published a report that showed when companies had women in as their board of directors in their team, so they were able to get 15% increase in profitability for a typical firm. So that means it's between, they've said 15 to 30%. So that means having that gender balance in your leadership roles then is able to actually give you results as an output, because when you, like I said at the beginning, when you do come together, then we are able to have even better results. And this has actually been proved even by Harvard Business School and Catalyst reports that have been shared out. So thank you so much for that, Agnes. So there's another question coming up now. This is going to be for both of you. That is Agnes and Maureen as well. So for women, I know you've been asked this question a lot, but especially speaking as of we are in an African community, and there's still that aspect that as a woman, you're supposed to do the house chores and still go to work. You're supposed to be, there's this meme that was going around, asubuhi ukiamka, the woman is the one who has to wake up the kids, prepare them for school. So even these small roles, we are urging men to actually take them up as well. But in the current society that we are in, it's more seen as a woman role. So when it comes to what you're expected of as a woman, when it comes to balancing now how you balance your work and your family. Say, for example, you're a director, Maureen. How are you able to still be able to fulfill your roles as a mother and to also to fulfill your roles in the workspace? And how are you able to make this work even with your partner? Like, what advice would you have in terms of the young people coming in? You want to start a family, but you're scared as a woman, I'll be expected to do this other role also. Or how do you, from just a personal perspective, and how you'd be able to advise in terms of handling that? Yes, so both of you, Agnes and Maureen.
Okay. So for me, I believe there's no answer to that. I'll tell you, let me just say why. Is because God has given you the responsibilities to be a mother. That's why you're the woman who carries that for 9 months. It is you end up finding your space in terms of how you can be able to be both a mother, a career woman, all that stuff. And what may work out for me might not always work out for someone else. Why? Because I believe in terms of probably how I upbring my children might be different from each and every person. for me, the main thing I would pick out is the fact that do not believe that you can try and be able to do the right thing at the right time. Let God be able to support you in that, because you'll find that even women being in whatever positions, even it doesn't matter, even being an engineer, it becomes quite a challenge for them to go through even just trying to balance even with the children. And I honestly believe that with that, every step has there's God can never give you something that you cannot handle. So every step that you move, he'll always give a situation, or he'll always give a solution for how you're going to handle it. So if I'm to sit back and tell you how I'm able to juggle my kids being around the house, and I'm working and I'm in a conference, and right now I cannot tell you a standard formula that is there for each and every person, because even to me, by the time I go to bed, I ask myself, how did this day just end? So but one thing I always say is that take your time in making certain decisions. Let everything come as a flow. Okay, let everything, don't try to make this script and try to be able to try and fit yourself into someone's script, because by the time the kids come, by the time you're in a new position of probably being a CEO, by the time you find yourself in certain positions, you find that somehow your body will adjust, just like being a mother. Before you get a child, before I got my firstborn, I never thought how I'd be able to handle being a mother. But when the child comes, you just find yourself automatically doing the things that are related to your responsibilities. So for me, I would say try and make sure that whatever it is that you're going for, don't regret it. An opportunity comes in when an opportunity shows up at your door once in a lifetime. So if it's the opportunity of a child coming into place that time, then let it come in. Don't start saying, I don't know, I want to build this, I want to build that. If it is that time, in Kiswahili we say mtoto huja na mchele, kila mtoto huja na sahani yake, because you might even not have the funding. You might say that I'll wait till I'm a billionaire so that I can have one child, two children. No, just trust in that opportunity that comes in. So you get a child, take it a step at a time, take it a day at a time, and believe that at some point, everything will fall into place. So for me, I'm going to say is that there's no standard formula as to how you're going to balance. But at the end of the day, one thing I'm going to tell you is that take a day at a time. Try and do the best on both areas in whatever you do, so that you can find that space, you can find that comfort. By the time you go to bed, you'll definitely feel overwhelmed. That is a guarantee. Whether you're not a mother or a mother, you're going to feel that overwhelming effect. But again, at the end of the day, that overwhelming effect gives you strength to become, to be able to hold on to something probably tomorrow, which will make you stronger. So as you go on, you find yourself becoming stronger in that space, and you're able to somehow find that, yeah, I'm able to balance my career, my children, my what, and yeah, and they're all okay. Because sometimes you find that you might be having a very huge meeting in the morning, and probably, as I said, I was with some ladies last week, and she said at some point she has a really big board meeting, and in the middle of the night, her child gets a fever, and she's thinking, should I do this? Should I do that? And she stayed in the hospital till morning, where she just had to come back, shower, and leave. So you cannot be able to say that you'd have anticipated that tomorrow during your board meeting, you'd have opted to do something different. You still have to do your motherly duties, but at the end of the day, you still have to do your career duties, So that way, take a day at a time, let everything fall into place, and you will find yourself in that space, being able to have the strength to handle all the tasks. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Maureen. I think we have something we can take home as we decide on future plans to have family. So thank you so much for that. Agnes?
Okay, thank you so much. I think Maureen has covered it very well. So what I will add on is I achieving work-life balance. I don't think is possible. I think the new word that is on the streets currently is work-life integration, and I think it is actually the proper way to go about it. Maybe I'll give you an example of a life. Sometimes there's also that belief that when you're in private practice, you have all the time in the world, and you can actually balance everything eventually. But it is not. It's not actually true. There is still limited time also, even when you're doing actually private practice. Sometimes I don't even see the difference from maybe when I was employed and now. Like a day in an entrepreneur's life, maybe I can just give you a sneak preview of like this week. Let's take for example, I think Nation contacted me, Charles contacted me, but I think I took even some time before I shared my bio because there was so much that I had to do. First, you're pitching. I had a client who I needed to pitch to. They needed to make that decision to give me business. I cannot miss. I had an exam yesterday, actually evening. So you're also pitching, but you remember the back of your mind. You have an exam which you're going to sit in the evening. Earlier on, I'd actually promised my daughter that I will be taking her through her, her preparation. She's sitting for her KCP from Monday. So she told me she's struggling with some Kiswahili. Can we go through with her? So I had placed her for 8:30 after my exam, which I still had to do because I cannot postpone. The time is running out. She has no other time actually to do. Today, Saturday, I had a class which I've attended until 2, and now I was remembering I have to. You're losing me? I'm okay?
Sorry,
I'm
no,
being heard?
Yes, you
Yeah,
are
you're
being
okay,
heard.
Agnes.
Go ahead.
Okay. So at some point I was like, gosh, was I right to accept actually to sit in this interview, or have I stretched myself too much? But I'm glad I made that decision to actually be here. So I was saying that to just show you that there's always so much that has to be done coming from all angles, be it you're actually pursuing your career, you are adding into your skills, you're working, you're doing business, you have your family, you have your children, you have your extended family to look after. So that will never cease. So for anyone who is maybe waiting and saying there will be a certain period, a certain time when now things will calm down and then I can now concentrate on maybe your career, I think I'll break that bubble and say, I don't think it is there. So you have to learn to be able to integrate your work, your career, your life, your family together. I think, and we need to reach a place where it is just at ease. Like men do it, by the way. Okay, maybe they wouldn't take so much of the burden at home. And that is why, as women, we also need to stop being super women. I think that is the other thing that maybe drains us. We want to be seen as we are able to actually do everything. And this is where I would encourage, like, develop your support systems also. Make them work for you. Ensure you also integrate your spouse to help you with some of the chores. Mechanize whenever you can actually make it, whenever you can afford it. You get some money, I mean, buy a washing machine. Why would you want to be washing clothes? You see, if you can afford to hire help and pay, please go ahead and do that. In that way, you're able to delegate some work that is not so necessary for you to do, so that you just prioritize the ones you cannot be able to delegate. Like being a mother, you're not able to delegate that bit. Being a wife, you're not able to delegate that bit. If you're a leader, you will not be able to delegate being a leader, but you have workers that are working with you. If you're in business, probably you have partners, you have staff that you hired. So delegate some of the work also to them. So build your support system so that you're not strained. You're not a jack of all trades. You're not doing everything that doesn't actually require your help. So there's no, I think, shorter way. There is no easier way. We have to integrate our work, our lives, our families, our careers, our building our skills together, and just make sure we have that working together. There will be times you will have to maybe do a little bit more of one at the expense of the others, but it needs to be for a short period of time. Let's say you're reading for an exam, you may see your family a bit less, but it's a temporary thing, maybe a week or so. You may have pressure at work, which may take away some bit of time, but it should not be the order of the day. When it becomes the order of the day, I think that's where you're losing it. So you need to be able to just practice and perfect work-life integration. Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you, Agnes, for that. Maybe just a follow-up question. Do you think
Can the
being...
rest of you hear me?
Oh, Charles, yeah, we can hear you. I'm just doing a follow-up question before you send the next, before you call out for the next question. This is maybe for Maureen and Agnes. And this is one of the reasons why we wanted also us as guys to be part of this discussion and see how we can bridge that gap, because at the end of the day, that's the main agenda. So what do you think is the role of us? Do you think, for example, let me pick an example, as a career woman, your partner, what is the role of your partner? Do they have an influence on your performance as a professional? How do they come in to be able to support you? Being a mother at the same time you're a wife, how do they come in? Maybe Maureen?
That's a very good question.
So, yeah. So I believe in terms of by the time you come into this bond of marriage, of being together, there's always a time that certain duties are clear by default that you cannot be able to delegate. Yeah. So in terms of, say, like carrying a child, you know, there's certain things that I think as a woman, you might just have to do it, because in as much as you'd want to delegate it, you cannot. But I believe that as you move on in your marriage, as you guys are together, you can be able to have him support you, be it in terms of, say, even duties in the house, or even, say, in terms of probably I'm doing my master's, example. And is it possible that he's able to support you in terms of watching the kids, putting the kids to sleep? Probably you come home from work, to your house. Sorry about that mix up. Yeah, so you come home late, and he can be able to support you even to put the kids to bed. So I believe that there's certain things that we as women refuse to want to delegate, just because we believe that it's from our traditional ways that as a woman, you're meant to do all the domestic chores. But we need to remember that as we continue growing and becoming a bit more, can I say, literate in terms of these traditional ways, is that we come in and we believe that we are together in this marriage. We can be able to try and see how we can be able to improve in different areas. So as Agnes mentioned, she said, why is it that you need to manually wash clothes if both of you are there? He's able, if you can afford a machine, and he's able to probably understand how the machine works and throws in the clothes. by default, you've already handed over some tasks to him to support you, as maybe you're also doing something else. And it doesn't say that who said, I keep asking this question, who said that this must be domestic chores are for women and domestic, I don't know, whatever things like taking the car to the car wash are for men? I believe everyone decided to put those names in place and try to you know, remove the whole responsibility aspect of both of you being together. So I believe that they play a huge part, both in being a parent and both in being in your career, because without their support, you find that it becomes a bit of a challenge, because you can't also juggle everything at the same time and also still expect to achieve. So also with him, you're able to sit down together and you're able to say that I really need your support. And as women, we have to be open to talk to our husbands or to talk to our partners and say that we need to be clear about some of the things that, you know, I want to grow in my career. I'd like to do my master's. I'd like to, you know, achieve certain milestones. I have that hunger to achieve this, but is it possible that you support me? And trust you me, he maybe wouldn't have told you, but somehow he was able to even see how he can be able to support you. But now the problem is that most people who are coming into marriage, they don't make it clear from the beginning. Of course, you want to be able to show while you're being under that courtship, you want to go into the kitchen and you show that you can wash dishes and you can wash clothes and everything. By the time this man is marrying you, he knows that you can do all that. So from the onset, you have to be very, very clear about what you are aiming for in your relationship, so that it is a partnership. It is not about like a boss and you know, an employee situation. It is about you people being together, moving forward towards the same goal, in trying to make sure that you have a good life and you enjoy the marriage as a whole. So yes, that's what I believe in.
Okay. To answer the question also, Maureen has touched very well on that part. So it has to start with the two of you. You having that discussion with your partner. I would say, like, my husband is my strongest actually support system that I have. And it did not just come overnight. We had to work on it ourselves. So the two of you have to really work on it. It is better when it is actually like the relationship was based on friendship. So it becomes easy to actually discuss that because there'll be, you know, the way people are framed, depending on your background, where you came from, and you know, there are those things that are considered taboo even for a man to do. Actually, I'll give you an example. I remember when we got married, and one of the elders actually was telling my husband during the wedding, as advice actually, that we should not see you holding a baby. That baby, you will only hold them when they are big enough to walk and you're holding their hand. In fact, I thought to myself, big problem, worst mistake ever. Why did I get myself into this? I've already avowed that I've married this guy, and it's day one of our marriage. But I'm glad that at least he was not able to follow that. So how many other people actually come from backgrounds where they are already framed that there are things that you're not supposed to do? So I think it is important, if you can select, still choose a friend as your partner, so that you're able to actually have that good discussion, work on it also together. Just like any other friendship, it has to have a lot of communication, very open channels where you're able to express yourself, you're able to actually maybe state your fears, share maybe the challenges that you're going through, share the experiences from work, because they also will understand you coming when you have explained where you're coming from. You know, paint the picture of maybe how your workplace is, the expectations from your job, so that when you come in late, they probably understand that you have to attend to some meetings late in the evening, and therefore their job, if they can, is to come early and be with the children. I think the biggest advice I would give is open the communication channels. You are two strangers. If you don't talk and come to an agreement, then it will be so impossible to actually work together. So always talk and discuss, share your fears, share your what you needed to be supported on, and be there also for them when they are struggling. I think we are lucky, myself and my husband, we are technical in nature, both of us. So we kind of understand how each field actually pans out. So it's a bit easy to have that discussion and explain that this thing that's happening, and he's able to see it from that perspective. But even if that does not exist, you have to create it. So have that discussion. Communication has to be key, because he needs, or she, for the men, she needs to be your biggest support system, like the first one that you need to have. Thank you. Back to you.
Great, thank you both of you for that insightful connotation. So, like both of you have said, it's a work you have to work on from a personal perspective as you get a family. And I think maybe the other thing is, as we bring up our kids, maybe we should start teaching them this at a younger age, that these are basically roles that can be taken up by anybody. They're life skills that you need. Even our young men, when they're in campus, these are things they've had to do for themselves. So as Agnes has said, it's best to form that relationship, and that communication should be very clear. Maureen said the same thing, that as you get in, make sure that you're able communicate well and have an understanding, because you're two people, like Agnes said, you don't know each other, you've decided to build a life together. So just make sure that kind of communication is clear, and you should know what you want as you get into the relationship. Make sure it's clear from the word go. Maureen said you've been cooking before, and then now you want to get married and you want to tell him, no, me, I can't be cooking for you. So no, make sure that you make it clear that you would like this kind of roles, to share the roles even as you get into the marriage. So thank you very much. It's very clear we need to have our communication set out right. Thank you both of you. So Nashon, I think I'd like to allow you to take us through the questions that our members were asking. I've seen a couple of them on the chat.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, please take us through those questions.
And also, I think it will be more interactive. If you have a question, you can also just put on your video if you're okay with that, or unmute and just ask, because we also want it to come direct from your own perspective. So there's a question from Fiona, and Fiona, if you're there, do you mind asking it direct?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Fiona, I can hear you.
Okay, my name is Fiona Mugambi from University of Nairobi. I'm currently in my fourth year electrical engineering. And so my question really is, being women in leadership and women in technology, what do you have any advice for anyone who intends to follow that path of registering as an engineer? I know you have to register first for to become a graduate engineer. Then for 3 years you work under professional engineer. So my question really comes from the fact that I see very bright minds leave our university and they go for very these techy jobs, for lack of a better word. They're very high paying ones, and they choose not to go the path of registration. So is it that it's such a bad path, or nothing really pans out there, or what is it really?
Okay, thanks, Fiona.
Yeah.
I think I can take that question. I will answer it, I think, from the experience I've had actually currently doing business. Those registrations are very important. I think sometimes in employment, some employers actually won't really care so much about registration in IK, in engineers board, in maybe IEEE. But the moment I think you step out and you are actually doing business, you are more believable if you are actually registered. So do not delay. Right now I'm pursuing my registration. I'm just wondering, why didn't I do it all that time? So you see, and it is so important when actually you are tendering, you are looking for business, you are doing consultancy. All those registrations actually come in very handy. And you will not want like to be maybe employed forever. You can start off as employed. So you need to work. I'm telling you now from two perspectives, from being employed to now being in private practice. Registration is so important. It is those things I wish I had done early. But anyway, you know, they say it's never too late. I have started. I will get there. It's never too late. But I had all this time in my hands to actually do that registration. And I know also, like when I was working for my previous employer, there was an ask that to just professionalize actually engineering and the like. There needs to be like a policy or a directive that anybody who is employed, let's say at entry level, needs to have at the minimum graduate engineer, maybe registration, and with a timeline also saying that by the time you've practiced for this period, you have to have been registered. To just tell you the truth, it may just be some short period of time before it happens, because sometimes you just need a certain leader to actually focus on that direction to make it happen. So I'll encourage you, do not delay for whatever reason. Go for all the registrations that you can actually have. Register at Communications Authority of Kenya, register in IK, register in Engineers Board, register everywhere that you can so that you are actually on point. Thank you.
Let me just add on to what Agnes has said. It's very important for you to start. I mean, I'm still employed, but I sat back. I remember a couple of months ago, and I remember asking myself, I've worked for this period of years, and somehow the journey of you starting the whole process is what is discouraging. So I remember someone showcasing to me what the process was, and I said, I don't think I can have this. So for me, I say, while you still have that, can I call it psych, just start doing it. Because for me, I'm even struggling with the fact that I still need to work and still need to start writing those documentations to start supporting this kind of information. And then, as you go on, as you move into leadership, the things about engineering and things like that, you find that they slowly start creeping away. Now you're making decisions. Now you're more or less you're making policies, or you're supporting in terms of amending policies, how the governorship of how the company will be governed. And you find that even in as much as you're still within that technology aspect, you find that now you're in the technology aspect of making the decisions of whether this project has enough budget to proceed, or what is the impact of this, and probably the solutions will come from an actual engineer who is there, who will do everything for you. So if you can from the beginning, it's best that you try and do it, and then now go building yourself, so that by the time, even when you reach levels like within leadership, management, all that, this process becomes simpler. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Agnes and Maureen. So I think it's very important to be part of the network in your area, in your specialty. If you're an engineer, it's very important to be part of that network. And one way of gaining entry to those networks is by registration. And as Agnes has put it clear, if you're thinking of being, a business owner or doing, your own work, these are standards that you must always provide. Always, if you're thinking of going to consultancy, you are more believable if you can showcase, or you have something that shows that actually I'm recognized by these standards, this board. It's very important. So the next question is from Jen. Jen, do you mind unmuting and asking the question? Jen, if you can hear me. So Jen is asking, have you worked in an conducive working environment that can affect your morale for engineering? If yes, how did you overcome? So Jen, do you want to expound on that?
Hi, Nahashan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hi.
so I think you've read the question well. My concern was we are looking at mostly the positive side of working. And then my question is, if you find in your career path you have worked in a very unconducive environment, maybe bad working conditions, a harsh boss, or someone, instead of motivating you as a junior, is bringing you down. How do you handle that? And if you have experienced the same, how did the two of them handle that? Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. And also maybe just to expound the power of saying no. Like maybe you can talk about that. How do you assert yourself to say no when you need to say no? Because that is also one thing that I think not only women in engineering, also new gentlemen getting into the industry, everyone needs to learn that aspect. So Maureen, do you want to take it up?
Sure, I can take that up. So working in an unconducive environment more or less means that, like, let me put it, if you may have someone who's throwing vibes at you in terms of wanting to promote you, or wanting to do this, or wanting to do that, and even in the scenario of an uncomfortable situation, as Nation has said, you have the power to say no. Do not use shortcuts. Trust in the process. Trust and believe in yourself. Remember, when we started this forum, I mentioned earlier that you must believe in yourself. You must know what your worth is. I mean, you can never shortchange yourself in terms of saying that I would like to be promoted, or I would like, so that my boss can like me, so I need to do this and this and this. Do not justify any level of discipline so that you can be able to either remain in a position or be able to probably climb the ranks. Let yourself know your worth. And that is what I'm going to say. And in another scenario, in the event, probably you find the environment is also, probably you have a harsh boss. You might be able to also find yourself in trying to understand, maybe it's his nature, and probably he also has his own levels of pressure elsewhere. For me, I always say that you do your part, the rest will fall in place. So whether he's harsh or not, whether he's this or that, do your part. Whatever he asks you to do, try and complete it to the level, and always do your level best. Okay. I believe most of the times leaders always find a way of trying to embrace their team members to come up. If you find someone, of course, there's a difference between a leader and a boss. So a leader will always find a way in trying to bring you up. A boss will always try to find that authoritative way. And if he's trying to find authoritative ways in leading, you'll always find that there's definitely something that he has going on with himself or herself. So I believe that always know your worth and always remain, remember my statement about consistency. You have to also remain consistent. So you need to know your stuff in and out so that even in the event you're being challenged, you know your things in and out so that with time, the person, he may even be harsh and then he ends up finding a soft spot in terms of realizing this person is really on toes and understands their stuff fingertips. But there's nothing as bad as he's harsh and you don't know your stuff and you're not consistent. That just messes up the whole equation. Yes, that's what I would say. Back to you, Nashan.
Quite interesting. Agnes, what is your perspective?
Okay, thank you. So like Maureen has mentioned, you just have to know your work. That is the only way you will be believed and trusted, because these challenges for sure will come. I started with saying, know your craft, know it so well, such that I think the biggest issue that may come, especially in a technology arena, is being doubted. Just because you're female, you don't look like you have what it takes to actually do the job. So when you're doubted like that, it becomes so uncomfortable to actually keep working in such an environment. But if you are good at it, there'll be so many people who will come to defend you, who will speak on your behalf to just ensure that you're able to just stay on course. So there's no shortcut, but you just have to know your work. I've had actually such experience personally, and my boss, there was an instant actually I was leading a certain project, and the person who I was working with kept going back to my boss, and my boss takes them back. No, you just have to discuss it with Agnes, because he had the trust that I can actually handle that job. So after some time, actually, that person just realized, I just have to work with this person. So if you are not good, therefore, with what you are doing and you know you're technical so well, then it will be very challenging actually to stay in such an environment. So always just be good at what you're doing. And I think to just be prepared also that work is not, it's not like your home. You're not going to really define the comfort and the happiness that you're going to get. So also go prepared. Have endurance, have resilience for such small maybe interruptions that may come along the way, but also know the boundaries, know your character, such that it cannot be shaken. Know your values, like Maureen was saying, as in if it is you have to compromise your values for you to work, then it shouldn't be the case. Just know that these are the boundaries. I'm not going to actually go beyond here. And so you're able to now make a decision from there, whether to stay in or step out from such an environment. So my submission is that, Nasha.
Thank you very much, Agnes. So I think it's pretty clear that one way you need to, it's not a shortcut. You just need to know your craft. You need to know how am I good at my work? Am I doing it right? By the virtue of you doing it right, I think you'll have solved a lot of issues. So out of conscious of time, I want to take it back to Charlton just to wrap it up. Maybe Kidinji to say one thing or two, unless you have a burning question. Yeah. And if you want to find the recording, you'll find it on YouTube. We have a YP page. You can always find the recording once it's extracted. So Charlton, kindly, you can wrap it up, and then Kitinji will finish. Charlton? Okay, let me give it to Kitinji. Oh, there she is. Okay. I've seen you
Let
unmute
Kitinji
you.
go first, Nation.
All right. Kitinji?
Yep.
Kitinji, YP chair. Yeah.
Yeah, fine. I think Cheltu can do the closing remarks as she winds up the session. So I think this is one of the most real sessions that we have had, because most of the other sessions have been the presentation kind of a thing where it's just a speaker giving you facts. But this one has been, I think, more interactive. I couldn't wake up from the point where I was, because each and every point really meant something. It's a speaker speaking from the heart, and that is really the experience that I've loved with Maureen and with Agnes really sharing that with us. I think I hope the audience have really enjoyed as much as I've enjoyed. I've learned a lot. Having a daughter and a young father, I'm hoping at least to get closer and closer to getting to know how to manage my daughter, as well as at least support my friend, as you have put it, and a wife at the same time. And I'm really, all I can say is that I've learned a lot, and it's really an honor. We hope this discussion to keep on going. I think Nation, we can really organize something else maybe in future to have a reflection on maybe the ladies who have attended this, how has it been? Now it's the ladies sharing to the Maureen and Agnes, and then Agnes now, it's kind of a marking what has been happening, because this has really been a transformative talk. And all I can say is thank you very, very, very much, Agnes and Maureen, for taking your time and sharing everything with us. That's all from me. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, Kitinji. Okay, Charlton, kazi kwako.
Maybe as Charlton is, I think as Charlton is, okay.
Go ahead, Maureen.
Okay. No, I just wanted to just make sure that probably as you were telling us as you wind up the event, I just wanted to give just 3 parting shots, just so that people can take home and just always realize is the fact that number 1, you must be unapologetically you. Unapologetically you just means that you in any situation that you'll be, you'll not be apologizing for who you are. Number 2 is that you need to build your brand. You need to know your brand and you need to build your brand. So you as Agnes Limo, you as Maureen, Mwaniki, you as Nahashan, you must be able to build your brand to be that brand where people look up and they say, wow, this is someone who we can look up to. And number 3, you must be able to know your self-worth. So your self-worth, as you understand your self-worth, you must always remember that leadership is not about being the boss of something. Leadership, I believe, is servantship. You become a servant of people who have put you in that position because they believe in who you are. So you must be willing to serve people, and you must be willing to serve them in the right direction so that they can be able to move in the right direction and they can be able to believe in the process and always know that this is the direction we're going, and even themselves can be able to trust in the small steps that they take in their day-to-day living. So those are some of the things that I just needed to make sure. Oh, and one more thing, you need an accountability partner. You need someone who holds you accountable for the things that you need to do on a daily basis. if you don't have an accountability partner, they cannot be able to challenge you on a daily basis or on a monthly or on a yearly basis. For me, most of my accountability partners are CEOs. So where do I want to reach? I want probably to be this point. So they hold me accountable that what did you do during this period? How did you build yourself to that point? Yeah, so with that, thank you. Back to you, Chaltu.
Wow. Yes, this has been one of the most powerful sessions we've had. As Kitinji has said, it's been interactive. That was the aim. I'm really happy we were able to achieve that. So personally, I'm usually this girl of yes, I can do it, and all. But I feel I've also learned something today, especially when it comes to accountability, being consistent, being reliable. It's things you hear, but when you see someone who's actually like a lady who you can be able to look up to, is in a position that they've been through this whole process and have reached somewhere, and they are saying the same thing. It's a very real life situation, which makes it even more impactful, makes it more relatable, more realistic to all of us. So thank you so much, Maureen and Agnes, for joining us today. I believe each and every one of us here has taken a thing or two home, and maybe we can have another follow-up session like this. This has been amazing. Thank you so much. And just the few words, Maureen, you've said at the end, I believe, yeah, when we say trust the process and believe in yourself, like no one can be a better version of you. No one can be as good or as bad at being you as you are, So thank you so much for sharing that. And I believe to everyone who is here, just know your craft, know what you're good at, build on that. The one thing I usually say me when I'm speaking is if you can't find that thing that you love and be able to do that, then excelling becomes a problem, because in the first place you're not even enjoying what you're doing. You're not even feeling this thing that you're doing. So from what we've seen from both you ladies, you're in a field where you've been able to come to a place where you are able to do what you actually love, build on that. That's why you're able, Maureen, to go on a journey the whole day, the whole night, and then come up here and still be able to present here. So that's the kind of sacrifice and self-push that you will be able to give based on you're doing something that you actually want to do. I don't think there's a better driver than that. So thank you so much, both of you. We can see the kind of sacrifices you've made. Agnes, you had presentations you needed to make through Nini. You were able to get through to that, and you've been able to actually make time to join us today. So thank you, both of you. We can't thank you. I don't know. I don't think there's words to say it if I was able to give you a award right now, but I think the lives you've impacted today is a even bigger award than any of us can be able to give you. So thank you so much. Nashwan, thank you. You brought us very amazing ladies. He really vouched, and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing why he was really, pushing for this. So thank you so much, Nashwan. Also, Kitinji, thank you so much. You've been an amazing chairman, leading us throughout this for this group, IEEE YP Kenya. So for those of us who are here, I don't know if everyone here is from the IEEE YP group, but IEEE YP Kenya is IEEE Young Professionals Kenya. So most of the members here will be people who are in their early stages of employment, or maybe running their own businesses. So we are really trying to push all of us to be able to be the best versions of ourselves. There's another thing just to add, what Engineer Limo said about getting accreditations and getting certification and getting registered. Like she said, when you're employed, these employers won't even, most of them won't care about these registrations, but believe you me, these registrations you do for yourself. Join these groups, join these bodies, IEEE here, YP Kenya, IEEE, all the different IEEE sub-chapters, the IEK groups. Make sure you join, register for EBK. Trust me, you're doing it for yourself as an engineer, whatever kind of field you will go into, whether you're going into the business side of it. For example, for me, that's the path I chose. I'm doing technical and the business aspect of it combined. But at the end of the day, when you're getting these certifications, it is for your own good. And when you're pitching for jobs, when you want to do your own thing, then now it will be you being validated, not the different employers you've worked with, but you as a person. How can we validate that you'll be able to do the job that you want to do? So get these accreditations, join these engineering bodies. It's for networking, it's for growth from a personal level. So that's it from me. Thank you. Nashon?
Thank you very much. Kitty has shared the WhatsApp link. You can join the group and just get to know what we normally do. So thank you very much, Maureen and Agnes. Once again, I can't say it better. And also for everyone who got the chance to join. So we really appreciate for taking the time and being with us. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So
Enjoy
we
your
can.
weekend.
Thank you everyone who joined today.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
definitely. Enjoy your
Enjoy
weekend.
your
Bye-bye.
weekend. Bye.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.